It was a brisk April morning in 1986 when the world felt as if it was holding its breath. Rivington, a small village nestled in the shadow of the Chernobyl power plant, seemed untouched by the chaos that was about to unfold. As the sun rose, casting golden rays over the dew-kissed grass, I went about my usual routine, completely unaware that history was about to be rewritten. I remember sitting on the porch with my neighbor, Old Man Harris, who had seen more seasons than I could count. He sipped his tea slowly, watching the birds flit about. "Looks like a fine day for the spring planting," he mused, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond our little village. "Yeah," I replied, my gaze wandering towards the distant silhouette of the power station. "But it's always a bit too quiet around there for my liking." Little did I know how true those words would soon become. As the morning turned into afternoon, a low rumble began to shake the ground beneath our feet. I shrugged it off as the usual noise of the plant. Rivington had grown accustomed to the sound of industry. It was part of our lives. But as the vibrations intensified, a collective unease settled over the village. "Did you feel that?" I asked Old Man Harris, who looked up, his brow furrowed. "Aye, something's not right," he said, setting his cup down. We exchanged worried glances, but before we could ponder it further, the ground trembled violently. It felt as if the earth was splitting apart. In that moment, a deafening roar filled the air, drowning out everything else. The explosion that followed was unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was a thunderous boom that echoed through the valley, shaking windows and rattling bones. I leaped to my feet, my heart racing as I watched a plume of smoke rise ominously into the sky. "What the hell was that?" I shouted, my voice barely audible over the chaos. Old Man Harris stood frozen, his eyes wide with disbelief. "The plant?" he gasped, his voice choked with fear. "Something's gone wrong." I could see people emerging from their homes, eyes drawn to the sky like moths to a flame. I joined them, a sense of dread tightening in my chest. The smoke billowed higher, dark and swirling, a harbinger of doom. In the aftermath, the village was buzzing with confusion and fear. We gathered at the local community center, our small town heart beating faster as we saw answers. It was a jumble of voices, mothers clutching their children, fathers exchanging worried glances, the elderly whispering prayers. "Is it safe?" a woman asked, her voice trembling. "The government will tell us what to do," someone replied, though I could hear the uncertainty in their tone. As we waited for news, I caught sight of the old clock on the wall, its hands frozen in time. How could life continue as usual when the world outside was crumbling? It wasn't long before we received news that the situation was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Reports trickled in from the power plant, an explosion had occurred, and there was a radiation leak. The word Chernobyl became a specter that haunted our conversations. "They're sending in the firefighters and emergency crews," a man said, his voice shaky. "They're trying to contain the fire." I thought of the brave souls rushing into the unknown, men and women whose lives would forever be altered. "What about the workers?" I whispered, a chill running down my spine. "They'll be heroes," Old Man Harris said quietly, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. As the sun began to set, casting an eerie glow over Rivington, the government announced a mandatory evacuation. We were told to pack our essentials and leave immediately. The air was thick with tension as families rushed home to gather their belongings. "Do we really have to go?" a young mother asked, her baby clutched tightly in her arms. "The plant is a danger to us now," the village leader responded, trying to maintain a sense of calm. "We'll be safe in the next town." I hurried home, my mind racing with thoughts of what I might leave behind. My childhood memories, the garden I tended, the familiar sounds of laughter and life, all felt too precious to abandon. The drive out of Rivington was surreal. The once bustling streets were now eerily quiet, the hum of conversation replaced by the sound of sirens in the distance. I sat in the backseat of my neighbor's car, clutching my suitcase, my heart heavy. "What will happen to our village?" I asked, trying to keep the tremor out of my voice. "They'll fix it, won't they?" Old Man Harris replied, though I could hear the uncertainty in his tone. We passed by the power station, a jagged silhouette against the twilight sky, its windows shattered and smoke still billowing. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were leaving a part of ourselves behind. Days turned into weeks as we settled into temporary accommodations in a neighboring town. The bustling life we once knew was replaced by uncertainty and fear. News from Chernobyl was scarce, but the stories were grim. They say it's worse than anyone expected, a neighbor whispered at the local diner. They're talking about containment, but it could take years. I found myself longing for the familiarity of Rivington, the smell of freshly baked bread from Mrs. Baker's shop, the laughter of children playing in the streets. Every day felt like a lifetime, and my heart ached for home. In the midst of the chaos, stories began to surface about the heroes who had rushed into the danger zone. Firefighters, engineers, and soldiers who would put their lives on the line to save others. They're saying some of them are in critical condition, I overheard a man say at the diner. They went in knowing the risks. I couldn't help but feel a swell of pride mixed with sorrow. These were ordinary people doing extraordinary things. They were the heart and soul of our community, and I knew we would honor their sacrifices. As we settled into our new reality, the community of evacuees began to bond. We held meetings in the town hall, sharing news and supporting one another. Together, we'll get through this, the village leader said, his voice steady. We are stronger as a community. I watched as families shared stories, laughter mingling with tears. It reminded me that even in the darkest of times, there was light to be found in the connections we shared. One afternoon, as I sat in a community center, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was a firefighter from Chernobyl, a tall man named Victor with weary eyes and a heavy heart. He had come to share his story, a tale of bravery and sacrifice that left us breathless. I was there when the explosion happened, he began, his voice raw with emotion. We had to go in, not knowing if we would come out. As he spoke, I could see the pain etched on his face, the weight of the memories pressing down on him. We did it for the people, for the families who lived nearby. It was our duty. Victor's words haunted me for days. The cost of courage was high, and the faces of those who had rushed into danger began to blur together in my mind. What would I have done? I wondered aloud one evening, sitting with Old Man Harris. Could I have been as brave? Courage isn't the absence of fear, lad, he replied, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. It's doing what's right despite that fear. His words struck a chord deep within me, igniting a spark of determination. I resolved to honor the sacrifices made by the heroes of Chernobyl, to ensure their stories were never forgotten. With the support of the community, we organized a memorial for the heroes who had faced the disaster head-on. We wanted to honor their bravery and resilience. Let's make it a day to remember, I suggested, my heart racing with excitement. A day to celebrate their courage in our community. As we worked together to plan the event, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We would gather to share stories, to celebrate life, and to remind ourselves that even in darkness, there is hope. The day of the memorial arrived, and the air was thick with anticipation. People from neighboring towns joined us, creating a tapestry of support and solidarity. As I stood before the crowd, my voice trembled as I spoke. Today, we honor the heroes of Chernobyl, the brave souls who risked everything to save us. Tears glistened in the eyes of the villagers, and I could feel the weight of our collective grief. But amidst the sadness, there was a fierce determination to remember, to cherish the stories of those who had fought for our safety. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over Rivington, we released lanterns into the sky, each one a symbol of hope and remembrance. I watched as they floated away, illuminating the darkness and carrying our prayers to the heavens. We are stronger together. Old Man Harris sat beside me, his voice filled with conviction. The sense of unity among us was palpable, a reminder that even in the face of disaster, we had each other. The bonds we forged would guide us through the storm. In the weeks that followed, the village began to rebuild. We worked tirelessly to restore what we had lost, planting seeds of hope in the fertile soil of our shared memories. Let's make Rivington a place of resilience, I declared during one of our meetings. A place that honors its past while looking forward to the future. Slowly but surely, the laughter of children returned, echoing through the streets as we rebuilt our lives. It was a testament to our strength, a promise that we would rise again. As time passed, the memories of the disaster became woven into the fabric of our community. We shared stories, honoring the heroes and the sacrifices made. I found myself visiting the local library, digging through archives and documents, determined to preserve our history. These stories need to be told, I said to the librarian, my voice filled with passion. We can't forget what happened, and we can't forget those who gave everything, she replied, her eyes shining with agreement. Years later, as I stood in the center of Rivington, I marveled at how far we had come. The village had transformed, rebuilt from the ashes of despair into a place of hope and resilience. I often shared the stories of Chernobyl with the younger generation, instilling in them the values of courage and community. Never forget the heroes, I would remind them, my heart swelling with pride. As the years rolled on, I found comfort in the routines of life, gardening, teaching the children, and gathering with friends. Each day was a reminder of the strength we possessed, both as individuals and as a community. I still visited the memorial we had built, a solemn yet beautiful tribute to those who had sacrificed so much. It stood tall, a beacon of hope, a reminder that love and bravery could conquer even the darkest of times. Looking back, I realized that the explosion at Chernobyl was not just a tragedy, it was a turning point. It revealed the depths of human courage and the unbreakable bonds of community. As I sat on my porch, watching the sunset over Rivington, I knew we had not only survived, we had thrived. The spirit of resilience coursed through our village, a testament to the heroes who had risked everything for our safety. Their stories would forever echo in the whispers of the wind, reminding us that in the face of adversity, we are never truly alone. And so we carry on, united in memory, love, and the indomitable spirit of Rivington. Ready to improve your English in a fun and engaging way? Start learning through stories today. Subscribe to Learn with Godson and dive into captivating stories that will help you expand your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and practice pronunciation. Stories make learning English exciting and memorable. Join us on this journey and watch your language skills grow with each story. The voiceover in this video is given by Learn with Godson. Copying or re-uploading is prohibited.